Okay, hello everybody. Hey, it's Christina Taylor here, an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from North Canton, Ohio, coming to you today with a stamping class I have called Awesome Angles card class because a friend of mine, Sue, shared the fractured card technique with me, and then that just kind of snowballed into this class. So I've got a lot of fun cards to share with you. Ladies that came to this class were, they loved the projects, but it was a creative workout. It was all hands on and we were busy. So I thank you for joining me today for the class. I hope that you get lots of inspiration and decide to try some of these card techniques yourself. And so come on along. We're going to go on a creative journey. I'm going to flip the camera down and we're going to go ahead and get started. Okay, this is a peek of all the projects we are going to create in today's class. So that's just kind of a snapshot of them. I'm going to kind of take these all away and we'll go ahead and get started one project at a time. Okay. So in this class, we created a total of 9 projects, and all of them featuring different angles, different colors, designer series paper, all the things. Even the example that I had, I'm using a different paper on today's project. And I really hope that you are encouraged to just try these. Just try one of them, 2 of them, whatever, and share that with me. I would love to hear your feedback if you tried them after today's class. So before we get started, a couple things. So I did want to announce from my last video when I did my catalog walkthrough for the September-December catalog preview, I had a little giveaway opportunity in that video. And Kristen Marquez won that challenge as far as like, I don't know if it was a challenge. It wasn't a challenge. That's the wrong word to use. She won that giveaway. So I actually, my husband selected her name. I put all the tickets in a little thing, and she's the name that he pulled out. So she had already registered for this class and had already registered and paid for it. So she will get the October class for free. So love that. So it's always great to comment and share. And I don't know, let's see, in the world of YouTube, so the subscribe button, should be like, down here somewhere in that corner of your screen, I think. So you can subscribe to my channel so you'll get all of my latest videos and things when I upload something. And as always, I appreciate a thumbs up and a share to help inspire somebody else with this creativity. So I do appreciate your feedback, whether it's positive or constructive. I am all about constructive criticism. So like this class, like I said, it was a creative workout and the ladies loved the projects, but it was a lot. So I appreciate that because it lets me know, like, okay, we'll maybe not do as involved projects next time, but if you see something in today's video that you would like to order, this is my online store. It's stampingucrazy.stampinup.net. This is my current hostess code. It is CYP6RXHR. And this code is good through, I think it's good through October 1st, I believe. It's at least good through the end of September, but I think it might be good through a couple days in October. If you go to place an order and this hostess code it's no longer available, like say you order in it's like the day after this one ended, just message me at stampmecrazy@sbcglobal.net. Send me an email and ask me for the current host code. I'm happy to send that to you. When you use this host code, when you're checking out, it lets me know that you would like the card kits that I give away for the month of, this would be for the month of September. And I'm looking at kind of changing my reward system there and possibly doing little card bundles instead of card kits. Because ultimately what I want to make sure you do is you take those card kits and you make them and then you send them out to brighten someone's day or just lift somebody up, spread some cheer, give them birthday wishes, whatever the case may be for the card. So that's my ultimate goal, is that you're actually sending the cards that we're making. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and get started with our projects today and jump right in here. So this first project that I'm going to share with you features the fractured card technique. So here's a peek at the card we're going to be making. Just a simple card with some DSP. This particular technique is great to use DSP with, or embossed card fronts, or we've even in one of these projects at the class, the ladies were like, I don't have this designer series paper. I'm like, oh, you're stamping it. You're making your own. So you can make your own designer series paper with our beautiful stamps. So just know that. But this is just a simple card. I love the black base of this card with the color. It just really makes it pop. And that black is so classic and just striking with the contrast there. So yes, so let's just get started. I'm super excited about this. So the supplies that we're using in today's class, we're using the Memento black ink, or on this particular project anyway, Berry Burst. I'm going to use the Hope You Know stamp set, which is a great verse stamp set or sentiments. And then I'm going to use the Color and Contour stamp set. And I've actually grabbed this flower image out of there. That's what I'm going to be using today. I'm also using the flower die. This is out of the Color and Contour dies that go with that stamp set, but I'm just using this flower die to die cut that flower out that we'll be stamping. And then I'm using the stylish shapes. And you've got the banners and then circles and squares, and they've all got the stitching on them. And I'm going to use this square here. And for some reason, if you hear that noise, that's my printer. I just decided to come on and clean itself. So, you know, I don't know. All the things are happening. Okay, so on this project here, we've got our envelope, of course. Then we've got, let's see, I was looking for my measurements here. We've got a piece of black cardstock, and this is cut 5.5 by 8.5. A piece of designer series paper. And this is, I'm going to show you the rest of the pack here. This is the Masterfully Made designer series paper. It's absolutely beautiful. Like, look at that. Doesn't that look like I just had torn all those pieces of paper and layered them? Nope. It's just one piece of paper. So, so cool. And then this is the back side, which that would look really cool with the card either. You could do either or, but I'm going to stick with the Berry Burst, the all Berry Burst side. So this is 4 by 5.25. Then I've got an inside layer of basic white that is 3.5 by 5. Got a scrap of Berry Burst and a scrap of basic black. And then I've grabbed 3 strips. If you ordered a kit to go, you might have like 4 in your kit, I believe. You'll have enough to be able to do both cards in your kit. So these are 1/4 inch by 8.5, and I've got 3 of those. That'll be plenty to do what we need to do. Let me grab that pack of paper. Okay, so this isn't going to be a full pack, and I'm pretty sure I've showed it before when we've done classes. But this is going to show you some of the strips that we use. So this happened to be one of the patterns that we used. That wasn't the one that I had on the example. And then of course we've got the Fresh Freesia on the back. This was another pattern that we used. And then of course the one that I'm using now. And then, so you're gonna have to visualize like full pieces of those, because obviously I've used them all up and no longer have the complete pack here. And then we've got these these last ones. So this is the front and the back of the one. And doesn't that just look like all these torn pieces of paper? Like, so beautiful. This paper is like a must-have. This is great for like card fronts. You could quarter panel it and make 3 card fronts and then have a strip in the center that you could do something with. And then this piece, same here, you can make quarter panel pieces of this designer series paper, do like 5 1/4 by 4 and just put a sentiment there. Very quick card, but really, really pretty. So if you're a fan of our DSPs, this pack is, I think, a must-have, along with, you know, half a dozen different other ones that are in the catalog too. Because Stampin' Up! Does not make it easy when it comes to choosing what side or what pack of designer series paper to use. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to start by folding my black card base in half. My bone folder and just flatten that crease. And so I would have my basic black, and that is what I'm going to cut out my stitched shape with. And then we stamp a flower here. So I've got my flower from the Color and Contour stamp set, and I'm going to stamp that in the Berry Burst ink on the Berry Burst cardstock. And I'm just cleaning my stamp off with the chamois. As you can see, mine is very well loved. It's a great little cleaner for your stamps. And let's see, go ahead and do some stamping on our inside layer. I needed to grab this piercing mat to kind of stamp on. Because we're using photopolymer, there's not any cushion on that, so I would like to give it a little extra. And I'm going to, let's see, let me look here, because the one for class, I did this a thinking of you card, and you know what, on this one, I'm going to make it a thank you card because I need another thank you card. So I am actually going to choose that one out of there, and I'm going to switch this out. So sometimes when I'm creating cards, I like to just, to not put a sentiment on the front. Just go ahead and keep that just like this. You've got all the artwork on the front, no sentiment. Sometimes I like to do that. So on this particular card, that is what I'm going to do. And I want to stamp a couple blossoms on the lower part of my card. This is going to be the inside layer. And I will go ahead and do a few on my envelope too. Put some on the envelope flap. Maybe one on the front for good measure there. So I'm done with the Berry Burst. I'm going to go ahead and shut that and then come back in with the Memento Black. So if I go with that for my sentiment, and this one is on red rubber, so I don't need the paper piercing mat anymore. And I'm just going to ink that up with my Memento Black and stamp that in the center. Clean that up. And clean off the flower. And we'll just go ahead and shut those inks so they are out of the way. Okay, so then I'm going to come in with, what should I do with my die? Okay, I know it was here. What do I do with that? Oh my goodness, I've lost it. There it is. Okay, method prepared. So I'm going to die cut the square out of the black. Then I'm going to die cut the stamped blossom out. So through the magic of TV, we already have those done. So I just ran those through the cut and emboss machine and already had those ready to go. So now we've got all of our pieces stamped. So we need to create now. So what we're going to do is take and put our stitched square. We're going to put it on this card front or the designer series paper and just at an angle, like a diamond. Think of diamond there. Okay. Then I'm going to take one of my strips, and this is where the fun begins. I mean, actually, the fun began as soon as we started the project, but you know. Okay, so I am going to take this 1/4 inch strip and I'm going to lay it right against my die cut square and line it right up with the edge of my die. Okay, so I want to just put some adhesive on this portion of my strip. That is what I'm fastening down. Okay, so I'm keeping it flush with that edge. It doesn't matter where you start, you just need to be consistent in your direction. So you want, if you're starting here, you want to go to this one next, this one next, this one next, instead of like here and then just trust me, stay consistent in whatever direction you're going, just continue on. So then I'm going to take this strip and this one is going to line up against this edge of the square. Okay. And I'm just kind of marking with my fingers here. I want to glue to about right there. Then I will butt that up against the other strip and the square and turn. Then next I'm going to come in with my next strip. That is going to repeat that same process, butt it up against that one, carry it along the die. And there we go. Okay, so I could have grabbed another strip and I just grabbed 3. Like I said, anyone having a kit to go, you'll have 4. So what I'm going to do is just take my scissors and I'm just going to trim off the strips just right with the edge so they're flush with the edge of the designer series paper. That's also part of the reason why you don't want to glue your designer series paper on your card front, because you want to be able to trim that off flush with the designer series paper, getting that glue all over me. So then I'm going to take this last strip and put that in place. Same process. I'd like to use the liquid glue for this, our Tombow adhesive. It works great. You don't need a lot of it. And it gives you like a little wiggle room to kind of play with it to get it in place. Over. Strips out of the way. And there we go. So as this card comes to life, it's looking, if you were to look at this card or this one, the example, it looks as though you've taken DSP and cut it in little sections and put it, you know, on a black card base. But in reality, these little strips are what makes it all come to life. I just think this is like just one of the coolest techniques. And when she showed it to me, I was like, we've got to do that in class. And then, like I said, I went a little crazy with the angles. So we're going to put a couple dimensionals on the back of our flower here. Okay. And place that. Oh, I like that with the berry burst, berry flower. So, so pretty. So then I'm going to take and I've got to cover this up. I know, it's so sad, right? So pretty. That on our card front. Got that black and that berry burst. It just makes it pop with those little torn edges of white. So pretty. And we'll put our inside layer in there. Yeah. Go ahead and close that. And there we go. We've got our first finished project. So this is what we made today. This was my example in the card. Both papers are from the same designer series paper pack. Similar designs, but very different. Like you get a different feel with those papers. They're all both equally beautiful. All right, let me put these things aside and go ahead and get my next thing of supplies, and I'll be right back with the next project. Okay, these are our next beauties that we're gonna do. Okay, you're seeing the theme here with the angles, and we've got a slightly different color layout as far as the rotation of colors. So let me share with you how we did this card. So this was a bit of a puzzle for the ladies. So it was they like I said, great feedback, love the card, love the design layout, but it is a little bit time consuming. But I really enjoyed the process of creating it. So I hope you'll find that you enjoy it too, to create along with me. All right, so what we're using on this project here is Cheerful Daisies. This stamp set featured with, and these are the dies where I pulled two out, but this is the set of dies. These are featured in the annual catalog bundled together at 10% off savings. So you can definitely find and take a closer look in that annual catalog. I've pulled out this label die and the daisy, and that's what I'm going to be using out of this set today. The stamps that we're using are these two the smaller daisy. I've got the wishing you the brightest birthday and the your friendship means everything to me. That's what I used on my examples. I think I will create another one with your friendship means everything to me. And then of course I pulled a little center out of the daisy there. So we're using that today. That's a photopolymer stamp set. Then we're also using the Patchwork Pieces dies. Now this is one of them. So you've got this really groovy kind of swirl pattern, and in it cuts out 6 different pieces. Some of the ladies at class used this one instead of the angled one, and they both looked beautiful. Now the angled one, I've already run through the cut and emboss machine, so I'll show that to you in just a bit. But this is a 2 die set in the catalog, and it's a standalone set, meaning it kind of can go with everything. It doesn't have a particular stamp set that it coordinates with. We're using crushed curry and garden green as far as our inks, and then a little wink of Stella. And I had this out the class, but I think it must have mistakenly just gotten put in with somebody's things because I could not find it at the class. So this is another one that I had. It kind of, I don't know, left the presence at the table. We'll just say that. So, okay, so as far as our supplies, that's my little die cut there. We'll come back to that. Okay, so I've got the supplies actually to make both. I'm probably just going to go ahead and stick with the one, but I'll show you the both that I made like I did earlier. So we've got our envelope, and we'll go ahead and do the one with the yellow base, since I've got the green die cut there. So I've got a crushed curry base that is 5.5 by 8.5. And then let me show you. I've got to take a little bit of a small detour here because I've got my pieces here. So I had a piece of garden green that is 4 by 5.25, okay? And this was die cut out of the center of it. These are pieces that came out of the die. This is the die we're using that is part of the Patchwork Pieces dies. And I've gone ahead and die cut that out of the center of the garden green. I'm just going to go ahead and push these all out because we are layering over top of this. So you're not even going to see that that center was cut out. It's actually going to fit there perfectly. And it's a great way to, one, utilize your paper, but to also reduce the weight on your card. If you're die cutting out of layers that you were already going to send there, you're not adding any additional weight to your card, which is great with postage costs. So I've gone ahead and done that for us. I'm going to put this die away. And then we've got another piece of basic white that is, this one is 3.5 by 5. And then I've got 2 pieces of basic white that are 3 1/8 by 4 5/8. So I've got one for the front of my card and then one for the inside of my card. And then a piece of the designer series paper, and that is cut at 3 1/4 by 5 3/4. This is part of the Daisy, the Cheerful Daisies designer series paper. Beautiful pack of paper. You can find that in the catalog. I don't have that pack of paper right beside me. So let me just flip to the catalog real quick to show you. So you're going to find that right here. It's called Fresh as a Daisy. I called it Cheerful Daisy. Fresh as a Daisy. It's going to be on page 130 in the annual catalog. And there's 12 by 12 sheets. It's $12.50 for those 12 sheets. So in it, you get just a lot of fun patterns here, which you can see. So, okay, pretty. One of my envelope aside. Oh, and I've also used some crushed curry twine, which I've gone ahead and tied a little bow there for us. One thing I didn't do was die cut this. So I need to do that. So I'm gonna have to come back and look up. I need to die cut this to get the pieces for the grid. So let me run and do that, and I'll be right back. Okay, I ran that through the die cutting machine. Totally wasn't even thinking about it. I'm like, well, I've got to have something to rotate in here. Okay. Let me get our frame out of there. What I'm going to go ahead and do is do our layering of the little die cut pieces. I want to take you through that process. Now, for those of you that are, I'm just going to leave it on here. When I'm using this die, this is what I told the ladies at class. When I'm using the die, I set it up in the way I'm creating the card. And what I mean by that is, so I'm going to take this piece of cardstock, and this is what I'm going to glue my pieces on. It's cut the exact same size as the die, which is 3 1/4 by 4 3/4. Okay, so when I'm putting a card together, I like to put the pieces like this, like how I'm having my card. I don't want the pieces sitting like this and I'm trying to put the card here, because then I'm like, okay, which piece goes where? It can really become confusing. It kind of plays like a, I don't know, a visual game with you there. Just put the pieces the same direction as your cardstock is on your work surface. Now, if you're doing the kit to go, I recommend like pausing the video as I'm going through this so that you can see the process, understand it if it becomes confusing to you. This was one of those things that once I kind of shared this technique with them, like keep them both side by side like this so you can see the pieces coming together there. Everything's going the same way. And you want to start with the corner piece and work from there. So let me share with you what I'm talking about. What I'm going to do, buzz on the glue. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some liquid adhesive on the top half of my cardstock piece. And I want to start with a piece of the designer series paper. So I'm going to just punch that out of the die. I'm just going to leave this in here while I'm working because it's tucked in there. It's not bothering anybody. So I'm going to leave those pieces in there. And I'm just going to start in my corner. Okay. So if you have your pieces in your kit, what I'm going to recommend is that you get them all in order so that they create a rectangle. Okay, so like I said, do a screenshot or stop the video and lay the pieces out how they line up in the grid. So So I've used the corner piece of the designer series paper, which was this one. I'm going to come in and take this one from my garden green, and I'm going to line that up right next to my designer series paper. Then I'm going to go for a piece of designer series paper, which will be this one. Punch that one out, or if it's not, obviously it's not punched out, it's sitting there next to you, just take that next one in line, set that in place. And then I'm going to come over here with another corner piece, but this time it's going to be a solid green. So I've got my garden green there. I'm tucking that in place right up next to the other one. And then I'm going to go back to my designer series paper, taking out the next one. And putting that in place. Okay, now because I've got glue over here, I'm going to take this one and go ahead and put it in place where it goes. Not that one, it's stuck to my finger there because I had the glue already in place. And just want to get that set down there before the glue dries. Okay, so I've got my top half of the layer ready. And I'm going to do the same thing, putting some glue down. And then I'm going to start that process again. So this was a piece of designer series paper, which is this one right here. So I want to take this garden green one and put that in place, lining it up. Then I'm going to come over here and get that next piece. That's going to be a piece of the designer series paper. Take that off and tuck that into place. Again, just lining it right up with the edge of my card, but also the angled edge of that die cut. Then we'll come in here, get the next piece. So the way I created this card, each stamper that was at the class was able to take the pieces of the card and create the second one with the pieces that you had left. So let me grab that. Because you're using every other one, of course, you're going to have every other piece in the opposite, whether it's a solid or a piece of designer series paper available. Okay. And then lastly, I got this little daisy piece. But that fits right in there like a puzzle. Yeah, so you're like, okay, so now your eye might be drawn to this little sliver right here. No problem. We're going to fix that. So let me just show you really quick. I'm going to take this apart because we need to complete the card. But this is going to give you a quick visual that you're going to have all the pieces you need to do to create the opposite of what we created over here. So you create card number 2. All right, so I'm going to take all these pieces and just put them out of the way because we don't need them right now. Let me put them on the garden green. Okay. All right, so when I was doing this, you know, there's always room for error. And I have a little bit of extra white here, probably because it was off just a little bit over here. Not a big deal. It's all gonna work its way out. So what I'm gonna do is just take my snips and trim that off. Okay. And there's our creative workout part of the class. We're gonna jump ahead forward here. So now we are ready to go ahead and fold our card base. And take the bone folder, flatten that piece. Okay. We're going to come in with this layer. So I'm going to take, if you had any little extra whites, I did the layering of the pieces twofold here. One, so that you weren't trying to get a perfect rectangle on this layer, but also two, you've got all those pieces now glued to one single layer and you just have to put it on this layer. I just felt like that would be that would overcomplicate things unnecessarily. So I'm going to take that layered piece with our die cut on there and put some glue on, and then go ahead and layer that in the center of our basic white. Okay. Then I'm going to take this frame, and remember, this is what I cut the garden green die cut pieces out of. I'm going to take and create a thin adhesive line right next to my die cut edge. So that's what I love about this Tombow adhesive, because you can do that. So I've just gone ahead and traced around there. Then I'm going to take my white layer and put that down. And I went a little bit over with my glue there. Okay. So I've got my multiple layers all ready to go for my card front. We're going to set those aside with our card base because we need to do a little stamping. So I need a piece of basic white. So I've got that. And what I need to do is stamp one of the daisies, small daisy. And I'm going to bring the foam mat in because this is a polymer stamp. So I want to be able to stamp that, and I need a little bit of a cushiony base. So I'm going to stamp the outline image of the daisy, and let me go ahead. I think in the envelope, I'm just going to do some open daisies. When I say open, meaning I'm not going to fill in the color. I'm going to keep them more just like, and I'm just going to do right in the center. Center. Let's keep it simple on the envelope, but yet creates a little extra touch on there. Then we'll do a little something on the inside. And we'll come back in and do a daisy. All right, so I've done the outline image, and now I want to do the fill-in image, if you will, the shading to keep it full. I want to stamp this off once because I don't want it to really be the exact same color as my outline, and I'm stamping that so that gives a little shading to the petals. And then I'm going to do that same thing. And excuse me if my head is in the camera shot. I'm trying to line this up, and there we go. It's like a little off there for a minute. Okay, and then I'm going to put a center on those. Okay. All right, so then I'm going to take the die and die cut this out, and I'm also going to die cut a label, both out of the basic white. Okay, so I've gone ahead and done that. So we've got our label, we've got our die cut daisy. Oops, let's bring this back in. I'm going to take off the birthday greeting and grab this friendship. Okay. And I want to stamp that in the garden green. All right. There we go. Your friendship means everything. I love that greeting. So we've got our pieces here. I don't know that I cleaned that one off. So we've got our die cut label piece, our other layers, our card base. We've got everything we need to continue to create. So this layer here, this was all of our die cut pieces and our DSP. I'm gonna take that and layer that on our card front. And then put some, oh my goodness. Just use my chamois to get the glue off my bottle that just literally rolled across it. And we'll put that inside. Okay. So now I need to determine which do I want my card to go portrait style or horizon. So what I mean by this, like portrait style or horizon. So which way do I want this? Yeah, I'm gonna go this way. Okay. I'm saying that so that you can determine how you want to put your greeting on there. Because the way the card's designed, it could go either way. So I'm going to grab a couple of dimensionals. And put that in place. I want to put my daisy here. So I'm just trying to eyeball this as to how I might like this. Right there. Okay. I'm going to put a little adhesive on the daisy and just kind of tuck that right to the side. And since that's resting on the label, I don't really need a dimensional under there. If you wanted to put one, you could, but it's attached to that label, so it's good. And then make it a glue dot, and I'm just gonna kind of roll the glue dot. One other one stuck to my finger there. And then take my twine, kind of pull that off. It's almost like you kind of create like a little hot dog on the glue dot. And then it holds that knot of the ribbon so nicely. Okay. So we've got that. Now then, I've got the Wink of Stella. And I'm just gonna put a little sparkle right in the center of that flower. I don't know if the camera's gonna pick that up. I don't know. There you can kind of see it just a little bit. Oh goodness. Okay. All right. So I'll grab these two since I did the same design. So you can see them laid out either way, same concept with the card, but gives you a slightly different look depending on how you decide to lay it out with your greeting. Okay. All right. So that is the Patchwork Pieces die that I've shared. That's our second card. And oops, the envelope. What did I do with that? There it is. This is the other one. Ah, okay. So we've got our envelope there to go with it. All right, I am going to get the supplies for our next project and we'll be right back. Okay. Okay, so this next project, again, going with angles again. So this is what is called a stack and swap card technique. We are doing it with angled cuts. As you can see, these cards are all very similar. Again, one's laid out the horizontal horizons way. I guess you could say horizontal or vertical. Maybe that's a little easier to understand than the portrait and the horizon, what I was saying earlier. Whatever works for you. I'm sure you understand what I'm saying. Anyway, this card is using designer series paper again with some creative cuts, and then you end up making 3 different cards out of 3 pieces of designer series paper, and I'm going to take you through that process. Okay. So the paper that I'm using on this particular set of cards is the Countryside in designer series paper. Beautiful, beautiful paper. It is going to be in the main catalog, and that's going to be on page 129. You're going to find those pattern papers right here. It goes along with a stamp set and a set of dies. We're going to be using the set of dies actually on the next card, so I'll point those out and show those to you. But this is a beautiful suite of products, so definitely check it out if you haven't already. I can't catalog put away. Okay, so the supplies we're using: Misty Moonlight, Boho Blue ink. The stamp set is the Lasting Joy, which this stamp set is featured on the page following the Countryside Inn suite of products. It complements the suite of products very nicely. So it's got some great sentiments, and then this imagery that's down at the bottom, it's very complimentary to the designer series paper. And you can find that again right on the flip page after that suite of products. We're using the Lasting Label Punch, which is this design right here. Oh, look, you can see me. Hello. You can see me in the bunch. Here, this is the design of this particular bunch. And then where's my ribbon at? Here it is. And then we're also using the textured, this is the Boho Blue, and it is the textured ribbon that's new in the catalog. It comes in all the 5 in colors, so we're going to use that as well. Okay, so we've got 3 envelopes because again, we're making 3 cards with this particular set. Okay, so we've got 3 pieces of designer series paper. So 3 pieces, front and back to each one, okay? These are cut at 4 by 5 1/4, okay? So you've got 3 pieces. Nope, I've just told you, I've told you that wrong. So let's erase and let's start over. You need 3 pieces of designer series paper that all coordinate. So they can be from whatever pack. I happen to be using the Countryside Inn one. So it is cut at 3 3/4 by 5. All 3 pieces are cut that, okay? You're gonna need 3 of those. You need a scrap of white to do some punch outs. You need 3 pieces. In this case, I've got the Misty Moonlight. Oh my goodness, if I could separate them here. So I've got 3 pieces. They are all cut at 4 by 5 1/4. And then I've got 3 pieces of Boho Blue, okay? And they are cut 5 1/2 by 8 1/2. And then for your ribbon, you'll need, probably, I don't know, I'd probably say like a 5-inch piece of ribbon. Let me show you on this card here. So on the card, I did all the ribbons differently. This one, I kind of took it out the top. This one I put across the back, and this one I wrapped around the card base. So we've done those differently. And then I forgot to grab my gems here. And I've also got some gems. These are the Fine Sparkle Adhesive Back Gems. They were on the clearance rack. You may still be able to find them. We just had a clearance rack refresh, but I'm going to use those gems as an accent piece on this card, or embellishments, I should say. Okay, we're going to start by folding our card bases in half, and I'm going to take you through how to make all 3 of these. Okay, so 1. This is our second one. Just flatten that crease. And then our 3rd one. And okay. So we've got those set aside. Next, we're going to come in with our Misty Moonlight. And those of you who stamp with me, know me, you know I am all about punching or die cutting stuff out that we're going to be layering over top of. So we're going to take this Lasting Label Punch, insert that completely onto our cardstock, and punch out a label. Okay, we're going to do that on all 3 pieces. Okay, we'll set those layers aside. We don't need those for right now. Then out of our basic white, we're going to die cut or punch 3 white labels out. Okay, got that done. We're done with the punch. I will set that aside. Okay, let's come back to, we need to cut that, but I'm going to do the stamping first. All right, so we are going to stamp. We have to determine what greetings we're going to do. And at the class, I did some thinking of you. I did a thankful one and then a birthday wishes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make an always thinking of you, and then we will do a couple birthday wishes. And I want to stamp those in the Misty Moonlight. It's going to be a little darker. So I want the verses in the Misty Moonlight. I'm going to bring in my mat, and I'm actually going to flip it over because I'm trying to stamp on the white with these little images. And sometimes that can be a little challenging. So I'm just going to flip it over so it's on the back side of my mat. And stamp my greeting down. Clean that off. And then I'm going to do a birthday wishes. And another birthday wishes. And we're done. Okay. As I'm stamping this, I'm like, you know what, I didn't grab the white pieces we're supposed to have 3 white pieces that are 3.5 by 5. So let me go grab those because I didn't grab, I don't know why I don't have those for some reason. Actually, I'm just gonna go ahead and cut them. I may as well stamp those while we're at it. Move this out of the way. So I'm going to do a 3.5 by 5 cut. This is actually a great tip. So let me share this with you since we kind of got on a sidetrack. Maybe that's why I didn't do it. So I could just share this with you. So if you're doing like your inside card layers, normally we will do like maybe a 4 by 5.25, and you can get 4 of those out of one sheet. But if you cut your inside card layer at 5 by 3.5, you can get 5 inside layers out of one sheet of cardstock. So let me show you how to do that. It's a great way to, get more out of your paper. It gives you a little less writing room, but sometimes I hear ladies and like, I don't know. I have trouble filling up the card space with like sentiments that they want to say. So it's a little less card room, for writing. And sometimes that works out better for people. So I'm going to line up my cardstock at the 5-inch mark. Okay, so that's going to give me this sheet of 5 inches. Then I'm going to bring that in and take that to the 3.5-inch mark. And then do 1, and then 3.5-inch mark again. Do another 3.5-inch. Okay, so I've got 3. That gives you this. Oh my goodness, I cannot get a hold of it. It gives you that little 1/2-inch strip. Then this strip that's left is 3.5 already, because keep in mind our cardstock is 8.5. So I've cut off 5. So I've got 3.5. I'm just going to come and bring that into 5. Gosh, I'm like all thumbs today. And then take that last one into 5. Okay. So literally this is all the waste you have from that entire piece of cardstock. It both could be used for like a sentiment on a card, but really the waste is minimal and you're getting more out of your cardstock. So great little way to cut for those inside layers. So I need 3, 1, 2, 3, and I'll set these aside for another project. Okay, so I've got always thinking of you and 2 birthday wishes. So for the always thinking of you, I'm going to do the sentiment, and let's see, I'm going to do that always thinking of you this way. I'm going to do the sentiment hoping for better days ahead to go with the always thinking of you. Put that on there. And then my birthday ones, I'm going to have them going portrait way. And I'm going to use the may the years ahead be filled with lasting joy. Because I mean, who wouldn't want a birthday card that said someone was wishing them lasting joy in all the years ahead? I mean, why not? Why not? All right. So we've got both of those done. And those aside. Now I want to put a little extra, since I've got these stamped, I'm going to flip this back over and kind of see a little bit more. I'm done with, done with the Misty Moonlight. I'm going to come back in with the boho blue. And on my birthday ones, I'm going to take and just stamp 3 little flowers. 2 on the one side and 1 on the other. Okay. And then let's see what we could do on the envelopes, because we're using different stamps. So we'll go with, if I had extra designer series paper, I could put a piece of the designer series paper on the flap, but I pretty much used the entire pack of the class. So just gonna do these adorable little flowers across the back of the flap. Oh my gosh, how cute is that? Okay. There we go. Love that. Okay, so that's for my 2 birthday ones. And then for the Always Thinking of You, I'm going to use this larger flower that's in the Lasting Joy stamp set. And I'm going to ink it. Then I'm going to stamp it off once before I come in and stamp it on my card. Because I want that image to be just a light shadow in the background. I don't want it to overpower my sentiment. See how that just gives it some imagery in the back, a little bit of texture, if you will. And then this one, I'm going to go ahead and stamp full strength because it's on the envelope. So, okay, we've got all of our stamping done. So let's clean it off. Get this out of the way. Envelopes. All right, we are ready to start cutting and then setting these layers out. So let me share with you here. All right, so what we're going to do is, so you've got 3 pieces of cardstock and or designer series paper, and you have to determine what 3 layers you like the best. Now, for those of you who got a kit, I have already cut those layers as you need them cut for this card, because I know some of you don't have a slide paper cutter. So I've gone ahead and cut those. So I have to determine what 3 sides I want to use. As you can see my thought process here. I want to use this one for sure. Use all 3 of those. That one. I'm really kind of torn here. Stampin' Up just does not make it easy. Oh my goodness, so many choices. It should not be this difficult. I think I'm gonna go with this. Yeah. Okay, so these are the 3 I'm gonna stick with. The reason you needed to know that, because you cut them all 3 at the same time, and whatever design you want to use on the front, they need to be cut at the same time, all the same way, so the technique will work. So I'm going to take all 3 pieces, stack them on top of one another, and then I'm going to take my right point of my card, the designer series paper, and slide it in my paper cutter. And then I'm going to leave about 3/4 of an inch left on this edge and 3/4 of an inch left on this edge. So this whole part of this triangular piece is through the cutter. Holding that in place, I'm going to take my slide cutter and go back and forth a couple times so I know I got all the pieces, and pull them out. So let me keep this in the frame so you can see. So there's our top corner. Then I'm going to take and grab all 3 pieces. I'm going to slide that through, and I want this corner to be right in my cutting track. And then this one, I just want to split the difference up here. I don't have a measurement there. I'm not worrying about being super precise. This is where I just need to have that corner in my cutting track so that it gets cut. Okay, so I'm gonna hold those in place, go back and forth a couple of times. And I've got 2 additional pieces. Okay. So I've got my card pieces all laid out. They're all kept in the same order. I'm going to bring my 3 layers back in place. I'll turn these this way so I can get them all in the same shot. But then I want to start by creating my card fronts. And I want to take a piece of each. So I'm going to take this one. Put it down there. And I'm going to take this one. Lay it down here. This one. Lay it up here. You know what? Let me turn this because I don't want to confuse anybody. So we're going to keep them all the same. So I'm going to take it all the directions. So I'm going to take that. You know what? Let me rewind this a bit. I'm going to put them all this direction because this will be helpful with what I told you earlier about the patchwork pieces. So they are all going to stay the same way that our paper is setting. This will make it easier. I don't want to confuse anybody. Okay, so we've got our corner pieces in there. Then we're going to come in with this guy here. So on this one, I'm going to go ahead. You want one of each piece that you don't want to repeat. So I'm going to be like, okay, I'll put that one there. Then I'm going to put this one here. And then this one, it'll fit with here. Perfect. So this one, you're just basically then on this one, you're wanting to fill in where you don't have that pattern. So you're like, okay, this one goes here. That one goes there. That one goes there. You've got a piece of each one on each sheet. Okay. Now, here's where it comes in with layering. This designer series paper was cut so that it'll be a quarter panel on top of this Misty Moonlight layer, which means we're going to have about 1/8 of an inch border around the cardstock as though the paper was whole. Think of it as like if you just had the full sheet, you would have that layer around. So when you are placing this paper, and I'm just gluing around the perimeter, when you're putting it on your card, you want to leave a little bit of a layer there. You want that outline of the color. Now, what I suggested for everybody at the class was that using liquid glue for one, but also just setting them in place and not fastening them down until you've got all 3 pieces on there. Because then that gives you some room to position them, reposition them if you need to. Okay. So it's just fitting together like a puzzle. So see how I've got a border all the way around my card? Just gonna, okay. All right, so I'm happy with that. So I'm gonna go ahead and press that into place and set that aside. I'm gonna come up and do my next one. Again, like I said, you have to remember that you're putting it together with the layers that you chose. Or like I said, in the kit, the way it's cut, because you can't flip them over unless you flip all the pieces over because it won't line up with the others. It'll hopefully make sense as you're putting it together. Like I said, this is a good like puzzle little angles. Okay, another glue. Just putting them together. Basically just fitting those puzzle pieces in place. There we go. Card number 2. And lastly, we've got one more. Card number 3 coming into play here. Okay, so again, establish. This I find is a good one to put down first. For me, it helps me establish that that corner, that layer right there. And then I just go from there as far as adding the other ones. And doing this one for next helps me get that other corner. And then simply putting this piece in place. Like I said, you do what works good for you. There's a method to everybody's madness. Okay. So we've got our 3 card layers. Okay. our punch out is hidden. It's behind. We're going to layer right over top of that. You're not going to see it. No worries. All right, so now we've got to determine let me back up. If I want to lay out my ribbon and I want to wrap it around, I need to do that now before I put my card fronts on the card bases. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and cut my ribbon. And like I said, the ribbon in your kit will be 4 3/4. Just gonna get some Scotch tape, 4 3/4. And you can either wrap it around on all three, you can do one of each, like I'm gonna show you, or you can do them all the same. Totally up to you. I'm going to take my Scotch tape. Oh my gosh, I totally made this more complicated than what it is, by the way. I had my hands positioned. Good gracious. Okay, I'm gonna take the Scotch tape and fasten down that ribbon so that's in place. So that's the one I'm gonna take across the front. Now I'm gonna go ahead and put these on my card front. And because I got little multiple layers there, I'm gonna go ahead and grab my Stampin' Seal. And yeah, with having that and the layers and the ribbon there, I just want to make sure I've got good adhesion, if you will. Not that the Tombow wouldn't do it, it's just my personal preference. Get this a little going here. And card number 3. Okay, so we've got our 3 cards. I wrapped that ribbon around, so that's why I went ahead and put that one on. All right, so we're going to come back into our greetings here. Okay, so I want to give my punches a little bit of a layer. I want this color to come out from behind them. So I'm going to take and cut my punch a long ways in half. I'm going to do that for all 3 of them. Okay, because I want to create an illusion of a layer behind it. Next, what I'm going to do is trim off a little edge. I'm going to trim off this little edge right here. Because if I don't, and I want to layer it behind it, it's actually going to stick out down here. I don't want that. I want it to be clean. I don't want a little bump out there. So I'm just trimming this little corner off right here. So let me come a little closer so you can see. Okay. So I'm going to take and trim off this little rounded edge, this little bump out here. Taking my scissors, cutting it off. So you end up with that shape. Okay. I'm going to do that on all 3 sets. And I've got a lot of little pieces. Oh my gosh, that almost went behind the card. Okay. All right, next what I'm going to do is flip my greeting pieces over. And I'm going to put just a little adhesive. And I like to use my liquid glue for this because it gives me time to like move these layers around. So I've just put my glue like this. See how it's just a little bit on each. Oh, see it there in the camera? Okay, then I'm going to take my layer that I cut out from my punch and just layer that. So I've got like a little bit of a blue layer, the misty moonlight peeking from behind. It just really takes your label die cut, whether it's a die cut or a punch out, just takes it up a notch. Gives it just a little extra something. Mhm. And like I said, the liquid glue allows you then to reposition it, play with it a little bit, and kind of get it exactly where you want it. Last one. All right, so go with those all in place. And then we'll get some glue on the back of these to put our adhesive or inside layers on. Since we're doing all three at the same time, set that aside. This one is going to be see how I'm gonna do this. Okay, what's gonna be my thinking of you? This is a birthday one. See, like I said, this still it creates it's a little bit smaller of a layer, but you still have plenty of room to write. A bit about card workout today. Like I said, take plenty of breaks and eat chocolate in between. That's my recommendation. In fact, you need to drink water. I should mention all that. There they are. So I'm going to pop these up. Some dimensionals. Go ahead and flip those over. And then I need to get my ribbon. I was like, where's the ribbon at? I'm going to angle a piece of ribbon and then another one. Behind my card. Just like, I feel like I'm kind of just rambling along here. This is a birthday card. Okay. So my birthday, one of the birthday ones, I'm going to use the ribbon that we wrapped around. And place that right in the center. Okay. This birthday one, I want to put the ribbon out of an angle behind it. And that might, I'm just kind of playing with this. Let me think about this one. Smaller piece. A little bit more of that one. I want to just do like a little fold. I'm just trying to work out my placement that I want. And I always like to put Scotch tape from behind it. That's just me. You can do what you like. I just tend to use that when it comes to the ribbon. And I'm going to take and put that right in the center. And then this one, we're going to take and put that, I'm going to cut that down a little bit more. So you can adjust it. You can cut it down a little bit if it's too long for you. I want it just to kind of go across the span of my card. And grab my adhesive. For this one, because I know I'm going to layer right over top of it, I'm just going to put a little adhesive on my card front there. And just push that in place. Like one more dimensional here at the bottom. one. And set that right in place. And hopefully, yes, I was like, hopefully I chose the right one and I'm putting that together correctly based on how I was going to lay it out. All right. Okay, so we've got our cards, got all three here. Ugh. Now I need to put some embellishments on there, some extra little gems. Take your pick tool. And then for the thinking of you, just gonna put one right in the center. Come in with two little ones. I always like to put my gems on in threes. So we've got three there. And then this is gonna work out perfectly for the little flowers. I'm gonna put three on the label with one in each center of the flowers. Love these little embellishments, and then this little dainty flower is just perfect. Okay. So there are three cards. So we've got this envelope to go with that one. And then these cute little ones with the little flowers that we did on the bottom to kind of match the birthday greeting with the little flowers there. So that's the three on this one. This is our stack and shuffle angled cut. All right. So great use of your designer series paper. It's a great way to make a set of cards. You know, if you like giving them as a gift. I have girlfriends that just love getting the gift cards, getting the gift of the cards as a gift. Does that make sense? Hopefully. Okay, let me go ahead and get the supplies for our next project, and I'll be right back and we'll create some more. Okay, we're back. I'm back. We've got another project. Are you with me? This has been a creative workout, but what fun are we having, really? I mean, I just am so excited about this. I hope you are too. Okay, this is our next project. I've got two different layouts here. On this one, I did just a little bit different stamp on here as opposed to this one where I've got the bolder image, but they both look very complementary. So this is another take on our fractured card, making only this one. We are going to use the Countryside Corners dies, which is this shape. And we're going to do a lot more angles on here. And this is the card that I was telling you about where the ladies were like, where's the designer series paper that we're using on this one? We're going to make it. Okay. So let me go ahead and get started, share with you what we're going to use, and we will get stamping. So in this particular card, I've used the Layering Leaves stamp set. This is a new stamp set in the big annual catalog. It's got some great verse or sentiments with it, and then some beautiful images that coordinate with our bow punch. So you can punch out both of the leaf images in here with this one punch. So super convenient. So we've got that stamp set, which is where all of our images are coming out of. And then I've also chosen the Go-To Greetings, which has 4 sentiments, but they're in different size fonts and slightly different size, like thick, thin, and very scripty and fancy. So this is a great set to have on hand. Like I mentioned, we're using the bow punch. We are using the Countryside Corners dies. The inks that we're using is Pool Party, Pretty Peacock, and then the new Wild Wheat. I think these colors complement each other very nicely. And then I've got some Pool Party ribbon that we're going to use for a bow, which I've already tied. So I've got that tied here. As far as our supplies, I've got, of course, our envelope. We've got if you had a kit, you might have anywhere from 7 to 8 strips in your kit. I think 7 is what I put in there. They're 1/4-inch strips. They're 1/4-inch by 8.5, and that should be plenty strips for you to be able to create your card projects. Then I've got a die cut already done out of the Countryside Corners dies, and this is done out of Pool Party. I've got a piece of Pretty Peacock that is 5.5 by 8.5. And then I've got a piece of Basic White that's 4 by 5.25. And then one that's 3.5 by 5 for our inside layer. Okay, so let's get stamping. All right, we're gonna fold our card base in half to create our card base. Set that aside. And then come in with our the foam mat, because we're gonna do a little stamping. So on this one, we are creating our own designer series paper. So I'm gonna use the Pool Party, and I'm just gonna go ahead and set the stamps on the inks that I want to use them with. When you're doing this, I think it's always best to be consistent, keep the stamp with the same ink, and don't go back and forth and change colors with the different images. Just stick to the same image on the same color. It will make your life a whole lot easier when you're stamping. So I'm going to start with, I always like to start with my larger image. And you'll notice I'm tapping around the ink pad because I use these at class. And oftentimes at class, the ladies want to go right in the center. And some of the ladies are like have a heavier hand when they are stamping and really pushing into that pad. And what it does is create a suction and pulls that ink off. So you're actually working against yourself when you're like looking at it, you're like, it doesn't have any ink. I need to press harder. And then you can actually see the image of the stamp in this stamps, the ink pad. Not good. You're pressing too hard. Just gently tap around. You're good to go. So I like to start with my largest image first. And you'll notice that when I'm stamping, I'm going to stamp and move my cardstock around. So that way I'm getting different placements of my image as I go. Okay, so I'm stamping just around the perimeter because remember, we're going to cover up the center. So there's really no need to stamp it in the center. I also want to go ahead and stamp my image for the inside of my card. And I'm going to do one on the envelope as well. Set that aside. Okay, now I'm going to come in with, I'm going to do the speckles next. So for the speckles, this little dot, I'm just adding some flecks of this color in here. Just trying to fill up some white space, and I'm going to over stamp with that little Pretty Peacock flower. I like that. Okay. Again, you're the artist here. You're creating the fur, and there's no right or wrong way to do it. When I'm stamping with multiple different colors like this, I like to look for spaces of white and areas where I don't have that color, and I want to make sure I'm putting it in there. So I'm over stamping. You can see that. Just, okay. I want to put a little bit right there. A little bit more speckle right here. Okay. I think I like that. I think I'm good with that. So I'm going to go ahead and set that aside. I'm going to add a little bit of the Pretty Peacock on that as well. Okay, before I close my inks up, I want to select a greeting and do that on my die cut piece. And I also want to do a couple punch outs here so we can use the punch. So I'm going to do a little blossom on the Pretty Peacock. And then I'm going to do one of the larger Pool Party stems. Okay. Actually, I was off on that a little bit, so I'm gonna flip that over because I didn't like how I got that. I didn't quite get the end of the stem here, and I want to make sure to showcase the entire stem. Okay, and then I'm gonna choose my greeting, and I would like to go with a thinking of you, because that can apply for so many situations. And because this is a red rubber stamp, I don't need that foam mat, so I want to take that away and stamp that down. And I almost said whisper weed. It's not whisper weed, it's wild weed. It's just like a whisper, just a little whisper. These colors and colors this year are great for like fall. We are moving into a time where those are just going to be fabulous to use. Okay. So I'm going to come in with my pool party piece and line this up in the bow punch. I'm just getting that in place. Then going to punch that out. Same with this little guy. Going to bring it in from the side and line that up. Excuse myself if my head is in the shot here. There we go. Okay. So we've got our two little embellishment pieces. Then we're ready to go ahead and start assembling our cards. So I'm going to take and put this on the front. I just looked up at the camera because I had this thought. I'm like, oh my gosh, did I press record? I was like, good gracious, I did. It says it's recording. So okay, so on this one, it's going to be a little different for creating the fractured card than on the first one that we did, where we were using straight flush of the little strips here. We want to angle this. So how you're going to start, and again, wherever you start, you want to stay consistent with going around it. So I'm going to start in this top corner here. And there's a little area here where you want it to come flush across, just like we did on the square card, but I need to take a triangular piece off. Now, some of the ladies at class used the pen and made themselves like a little hash mark to kind of straighten that, or, you know, angle that cut the way they needed to. I'm just gonna like freehand it. That's what works best for me. You can do whatever you would like. But typically, so on this first cut, now I've got that angle, so it's going straight across the top. And I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive on this back side and go ahead and put that in place. Now, different from this the first one that we did, I want to go ahead and trim this off because we're using multiple strips, so you're going to need these as we go. So I'm going to trim that off. Again, you want to start it at the top of whatever shape you're working with and take it all the way off the card. Now I had to cut an angle. So you see I've got an angled piece here. If you flip that, it's going to fit right in your next cut. You're going to be good to go. So that's an easy fit there. Just line that up, see where you need to put adhesive, and go ahead and tuck that in. Okay. Now, this one is going to be a flat cut, right? So we're going to have to angle it again. Don't stress over it. You're just angling it, like think triangle. You line this up, and there's a little piece right there that needs to come off in a triangle. Don't stress over it. Some of the ladies at class decided they wanted to layer them under each other and not cut the triangles off. You could totally do that. For me, I just want to have it all flush to the card. So that's what works best for me. Now on this one here, it's gonna come off at an angle and you will be able to use it again. However, not on this next cut because see, you have to go all the way up the card. So we're gonna set that one aside and get a new strip. And I'm just gonna go ahead and cut an angle. and just kind of see if I'm in the ballpark. Needed to do a little bit more. See, I'm looking at it and thinking like, just a smidge more. Like I said, this one, I'm saying like I said a lot in this video. This one's just gonna take a little bit of finessing. There we go. Just kind of mess with it and play with it and be like, okay, this is good. This is what I needed. It just creates such a fun technique. And it literally looks like I said, the ladies at class were like, oh my gosh, we have to cut all these little pieces. Nope. It's just a matter of cutting the angles on the strips. So that little one that we took out earlier, we're just going to tuck that one right in here. It'll fit. Don't let it stress you out. It's just paper. Cut that off. And come back in with another one. This one has, like I said, all kinds of angles to it. Scissors are going here. Work. Adhesive. Again, really a fan of the liquid glue for this technique. And you want to butt it right up against that last strip and keep it flush with the greeting die cut. Hey, and that one I'm probably done with. It's probably, I don't think we could get, no. I don't know. I can try it, but I think that's gonna be, I don't think that's gonna come together, but well, you give it a try. I can try. No, it's just a little bit short. I thought it would be, so but hey, it's okay. All good. Angle there to go right here. And we're on the home stretch. This is the last one, and we might be able to use that angle there. Yes, we can. Yep. So it just, if you're cutting off the strip at an angle, you can flip it and use it on your next angle. It's pretty much a given that that will work out. But if it's a flat cut, it's not going to. You'll have to cut again at an angle. All right. So there, we've created the fractured card using multi-side. Instead of 4 sides, we've got 6, yeah, so 8 sides, 8 sides. Okay, so like I said, when we looked at this card initially, they thought they had to cut all these little decorative pieces, but in reality, it's one big piece, and those little strips are doing all the work. All right, so we want to go ahead and get our card assembled. So we're going to come back in with our card base and put some adhesive on the back side of this. Okay. Put that on our poppy, pretty peacock. I almost said poppy parade, that's red. And it just really makes the card come to life. That frame of color around that goes along with our fractured card making pieces. Here we go. And then our 2 punch out pieces that we had. I'm going to figure out where you want to put those as an accent. Kind of thinking I want them a little bit like right here. You can put them wherever you might like. You can do this side, you can do in the center, whatever you like. I'm going to hold them together and just put a little adhesive on the backs of the blossoms. and then set them into place that way. Okay, so I'm going to press those down. Then I'm going to come back in with my ribbon. Let me find my glue dots here. Take one, I'm just going to roll it. Like I said, make it like a little hot dog. Roll it into like a little tube, and that just sits right behind the knot. And you can put it it holds it down so nicely. Okay. And there is our last card. So what do you think? Let me know in the comments what you think of the cards. If you've been inspired to kind of create your own fractured cards, angled cards, all of the things. Let me get these stamps out of the way, and I will bring in all of our cards that we did today. So we've got these three. We've got our fractured card with 8 different angles. Then we've got our stack and shuffle with an angled cut. Then we've got our patchwork pieces with the angles there. And then our fractured card as we started out with just the 4 simple sides. Okay. Oh my goodness. I hope that I inspired you today. Like I said before, if you see anything that you want to order, as always, I appreciate your business. If you are new to me, I would love the opportunity to earn your business. This is my current host code. If you have any questions, you can email me at stampmecrazy@sbcglobal.net. I'd be happy to answer your questions. If you're not working with a demonstrator and you're looking for one, I'm happy to send you a catalog. And of course, all my ladies who take the kit or do the kit to go, I'm happy to share the catalogs with you if you don't already have them, which most of you probably do if you come to classes. So, okay, well, I am going to just sign off instead of moving the camera back to my face and everything. I'm going to go ahead and say goodbye for now. I am so grateful for the opportunity to stamp with you and for you allowing me to share this creative time with you and for your interest in the class. I do appreciate that. So until next time, remember to take some creative time for yourself, maybe make some angled cuts and create a little paper sunshine and send it along to brighten somebody's day. All right, until next time, thanks so much. Take care.